Now, if you're going to visit Vancouver, one of the places you have to see is the Seawall, and the Seawall is actually like a stone perimeter that surrounds the outside or the perimeter of Stanley Park. So Stanley Park itself is a beautiful location, but the stone wall was actually built to prevent erosion from the seashore, or I guess ocean shore. So the seawall extends around, and it was Jimmy Cunningham, or James Cunningham, was a master mason who dedicated his life to the construction. A little bit of a segue here. We ran into this couple downtown Vancouver while we were having breakfast, and their dog was walking along the railing of the fence in one of the apartments downtown, and then we ran to them again here at the seawall. So Kathy asked them if they would have their dog walk back on the railing so we could film it. So very cute, great balance for the little guy, and I think the couple was pretty thrilled for the attention. Nice thing about the seawall around the harbor here, or the marina, is a great view of downtown Vancouver. Back to James Cunningham. He started the construction of the seawall in 1931, and he worked on the upkeep and repair of the seawall until he retired. And the rumor is that until his death at 85, after his retirement, he was still monitoring the progress of the wall and how the wall was doing. As you notice, there's a pathway for pedestrians and a pathway for bikes, and on the seawall, bikes can actually only travel one direction around the seawall. Now, apparently, at some point in history, the pathways on the seawall were widened because there were considerable disputes between bikers and runners and walkers as to who had priority or precedence for the pathways. So the solution, and the rumor is the solution was just widen the pathway. So there is a wider pathway. This section over here is actually near the tourist and souvenir shop, and some great examples of totem poles. The seawall is an amazing walk. A little further along in the video, you'll see there's actually kilometer markings. Now, unfortunately, even though we had pedometers with us this day, we didn't kind of take an accurate measure of when we started and when we stopped walking around the seawall. However, according to the paper map, the tourist map that we had, it looked like walking around the entire seawall, and again, depending on where you start and stop, but it looks about an 8 or 9 kilometer walk. And definitely this day we actually walked from our hotel around downtown a little bit and around the seawall, and so we did probably about 15 kilometers this day. This is the girl in the wetsuit, which is kind of it's a renowned statue on the seawall, or in the water. And this coming up is the front of a dragon boat. And I mean, one of the neat things about Vancouver since the Olympics, down this area, there's a lot more, and towards kind of downtown and the waterfront, there's a lot more to see and do since the Olympics, for sure. In a little while, we're going to come up to a water park, or a kids' water park. You'll notice there's officially 3 beaches around the seawall, but there's actually some other places where there's a small bit of sand where you can reach down to the lakefront. And this is the kids' water splash park that I had mentioned. It was actually right under repair today while we were walking by. Now you can walk by it, or you can actually park. You can drive to that part and take your kids if you don't want to walk several kilometers around the seawall to get to that. One of the other neat things that you'll notice along the pathways are people fishing. So there's guys with a fishing line and a bobber, not even a fishing rod, just line out in the water. And also as we come a little bit further, you'll also notice guys with actually huge nets, and they're just reaching down to the water. Here's one of our fishermen here with his long net. You can see how big that net is, and they're just kind of scooping in and scooping up some fish. We're coming up here on the Lionsgate Bridge, and it's a suspension bridge that kind of goes from Vancouver to West Vancouver, and I think it's like 3 lanes of British Columbia Highway 99 or 1A, and it's almost 6,000 feet, 5,800 feet, or 1,823 meters. And I read someplace that the bridge itself actually weighs 13 tons, and the clearance below it is like 200 feet. So there's some interesting fun facts about the Lionsgate Bridge. Okay, we're coming up here on Seawash Rock, and there's quite actually a story behind this. Seawash, it comes from the Squamish people, and they believe the rock was a man who was transformed, and so there's a whole legend around this man being transformed into the rock. But historically, there's a number of interesting stories that surround this location. During the Second World War, there was actually batteries of artillery guns around this area, and there's some story of a man who I think lived for 17 years or something in a nearby cave to avoid service or being drafted to fight in the war. So anyways, worth looking up on Wikipedia. It is an interesting formation. Actually, Wikipedia has kind of the geological reason that this formation, or how this formed. We're coming up on the beach here, and actually just a little bit farther along the path from here, there is, you can actually walk up the stairs to a nice tea house and get something to eat, and there's actually a fairly nice view where you can sit down and look out over the ocean. And at this part of the seawall, you actually, you're not so much into the inlet, you actually have a really good view of the out into the ocean, which is kind of cool, and you'll actually see a lot more ships and so on up here. Now we're coming near the end of the tour here, where you can re-enter into downtown, and just around the corner is the swimming pool. And just actually a little further back here, there's the Lost Lagoon, which is kind of neat. I'm actually probably going to throw up another video about that, but that's the Seawall in Vancouver.